From the resurgence of the Australian men's cricket team, to the domination of the Golden State Warriors, to the disappointments of the Indian T20 squad, but also the controversy surrounding Tim Paine and Australian cricket, the month of November was one to remember for the world of sport. So here with me, Suhail Chandhok, is the Man's Life hot or not list for the month of November. The hottest team in the world of sport for the month of November has to be the Golden State Warriors, led by Steph Curry on offense, led by Draymond Green, who's already in the reckoning for the Defensive Player of the Year. These two men have led the charge, and what a charge it is. They have the best defensive record of the league, second best offensive record of the league, and they're 20-4 as we stand at the moment. This is a side that wants to win back and get back to championship ways. November was a great month for cricketing teams in yellow as Australia dominated the T20 World Cup. They beat Pakistan in the semis. They were a team that weren't in the reckoning when it came to conversations building up to the World Cup, but beat Pakistan in the semis. They beat their trans-Tasman rivals New Zealand in the grand finale, and it saw David Warner back to his very best, winning the player of the tournament, with also the bowlers like Hazelwood, like Cummins, like Adam Zampa coming to the fore and helping them lift their maiden T20 World Cup title. What a charge it was for Team Australia. Also hot in the month of November has to be Canelo Alvarez. The #1 pound-for-pound boxer in the world has added yet another title to his kitty. He was currently the holder of the WBO title, WBA title and the WBC, but he's added the IBF title to his kitty as well. And what a way to do it. He beat the undefeated Caleb Plant in 11th round TKO to become the undisputed champion of the world and the first Mexican to do so. A man who was absolutely blazing hot in November has to be Shreyas Iyer. 150 on Test debut, the first man in Indian cricket history to do so, and what a 100 it was versus New Zealand in Kanpur. This is a man whose future is so bright because he's also in the reckoning to become a multi-millionaire when the IPL auction 2022 comes around. Shreyas Iyer is blazing hot in November. If you're talking about men and women who are hot in the world of sport in November, you cannot ignore Lewis Hamilton. The 7-time world champion channeled his inner Ayrton Senna as he went around the Brazilian circuit to dominate as he came through from 20th on the grid to 5th in the sprint race, followed that up with a 5-grid penalty and still won the race ahead of Max Verstappen, and after November puts himself firmly in the reckoning to win his 8th unprecedented Formula One world title. What a month it was for Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes. From the men who were hot in November to one man who was certainly not hot in November. Paulo Costa was set for a huge clash versus Marvin Vettori at UFC 41 in Las Vegas, but it led to a disaster of a week leading up to the fight. He not only declined the fight at the 185 weight category, which was supposed to happen initially, he then changed the fight to a 195 weight category. That wasn't bad enough. He then didn't even qualify for that fight, and he wanted a 205 pound category fight, which then meant a 20% fee from his wallet. It was a disaster for the organizers, a disaster for the entire fight, one of the most hugely anticipated fights in UFC in 2021, and it wasn't to be for both these fighters. Paulo Costa, that wasn't great from you, and you are on the not list. Also a side that had a November to forget was Team India, because they bowed out of the T20 World Cup and in a knockout stage of an ICC tournament for the first time since 2012. Virat Kohli's men came into the tournament as the hot favourites of the World Cup, but in the end lost to Pakistan in the opening game, lost to New Zealand, only picked up 2 wickets in their opening 2 matches of the entire campaign, and also had a really poor showing versus New Zealand after shuffling their batting order around, not having certain role definition within the squad, and even after fighting back in the last few games of the World Cup. It was a campaign to forget for Team India. It was a harrowing campaign, and it left them absolutely embarrassed at the end of it. At any point in time, there's always one Premier League club that seems to be in crisis, and in the month of November, that was the Giants, Manchester United. They have had a horror run, a decline that continued in dramatic fashion in November, where they lost to Liverpool 5-0. They sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and this is a side that has won just 1 in 7 over the last month. It's a side that needs to rebuild. They don't quite know where that will come from, but Manchester United has had a November to forget. After the horror of Sandpaper Gate, it took Cricket Australia months and even years to rebuild their image and try and turn themselves into the good guys of the cricketing world. All of that, though, was tarnished by the Australian skipper Tim Paine in the month of November as his sexting scandal came to light, and this was not something that Australia needed in the build-up to a big Ashes series versus England at home. It was not handled very well by Cricket Australia either, and Tim Paine and Cricket Australia in the month of November are firmly on the not hot list. The month of November gave us some great names on the hot list, some disappointments on the not list, but stick around for our year-ender Man's Life Hot or Not list in the month of December. From me, Suhail Chandhok, and our entire team, though, for now, it's time to say goodbye and head across to manslife.in for the best content from the world of sport, entertainment, lifestyle and auto.